having paid $5,000 for this evaluation. And the assessor, it was a psycho something or another eval, and she said, the assessor told me everything my child had wrong with them, all of their symptoms. But she didn't tell me anything of what to do to help my child. And she said, I paid $5,000 to get information I already knew. And then I asked, well, will we have any follow-up assessment? And she said, oh no, I never do follow-ups. All I do is do initial assessments, tell you what's going on with your child, and that's it. Which is really a very discouraging place to be, because labels are really nothing more than symptomatic identification. If you have enough checks on this list, you're autism full spectrum. Enough checks here, it's PDD and OS. Or if you have some checks over here, it's, maybe Asperger's. And if you do reversals and have certain things going on, it's dyslexia. But what the traditional way of looking at labels is it's a way of life. Dyslexia is a disease. Autism is a disease. May I tell you that autism is not a disease? Dyslexia is not a disease. What it is it's a symptomatic classification of a set of symptoms that they are using to identify these children. It's not something you need to learn to live with forever, because we have seen many children come through the labels. Now, if you have a genetic condition, well, of course, genetic conditions definitely have a root that is specifically there in the body. I work with a 14-year-old girl who has CHARGE syndrome. She is a beautiful young girl. I started working with her when she was 11 months old. If you're not familiar with CHARGE syndrome is an acronym for a very, very nasty diagnosis. Basically, won't walk, talk, see, or hear very well at all. Mentally retarded. And so this family would work with this child, and work with this child, and work with this child, and for lack of time, I'm just going to go up to age 14. She's in hearing aids, but she hears. She talks very lovely. She runs like crazy. She keeps up with her peers in her youth girls' Bible study. She's above grade level in reading. She's above grade level, but not by much, in math. And she is as typical a person and a child as I am, despite having this nasty chromosomal disorder. And her mom trained with me and is a Hope in the Future MD. And her mom gives seminars, and just this year, Amy decided that she wanted to talk at her mom's seminar. So her mom would get up and give an introduction, tell a little bit about Amy, and Amy would get up there and she'd say, when I was born, my parents were told X, Y, and Z. And she says, obviously I can hear. Obviously I can see. She says, I want to be a mystery writer. That's her goal. She's doing normal academics, and she goes, and obviously I'm not mentally retarded. Because obviously she's not. Real quick, we worked with an Angelman syndrome little guy family, although he didn't have a diagnosis at the time. He was about 3 years old. We knew something obviously was wrong with the child, but we didn't know what. But we just did the neurodevelopmental program with this child. And the child progressed and did well. And well, finally the family got a diagnosis, had genetic testing that confirmed Angelman syndrome. And so they met with the geneticist, and the geneticist said, oh, he's not going to ever learn to read. He probably will not be able to talk, maybe 1 or 2 words maximum. He will walk funny his whole life, and he'll never learn to ride a bike. And what you get when you get a diagnosis often is what your child, again, won't do. And the parents looked at the geneticist and said, well, he's already riding a bike. He's already running, he's already talking, he's already reading. Now, may I submit to you that perhaps part of the reason he's doing so well, obviously because they worked and trained and stimulated his brain in a way that was promoting him to develop, but also because they did not have the paradigm of a label telling him what not to do, because why shoot for it if he never will? They would just shoot for everything they could get from him, and lo and behold, he progressed very nicely. So labels are something we live with. labels are something that are here, but please, our encouragement is don't buy into the self-fulfilling prophecy some of those are for your children. And just, the other thing about labels is they tend to, when they do give you advice, they tend to give you how to cope with it, how to compensate for it, how to work with it, how to live with it. And we want to say is like, no, how do we get rid of it? Most every learning label absolutely can get rid of it, be done. If there is a symptom, there is a root cause. If there is a root cause, we can get to it, treat it, and eliminate it. If we can get there. And so really, how far a child will go with autism or PDD, we don't know, because there's a lot of metabolic components to that. But we have a lot of kids that come through that label and do quite well. So our goal is, let's not limit our children's future. Because truly we are God's workmanship. We were created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared for us. We're not out to make super kids. That's not our goal. Our goal is to make each and every precious little child of the Most High God the best that He created them to be, so they can be about kingdom business. Real quick, Scott's testimony, because here's another chromosome disorder. Our son was born with Down syndrome, and we did everything wrong. I have what I jokingly refer to as a PhD in what not to do. If it could be done wrong, we did it wrong. And so by the time we found the neurodevelopmental approach, he was 12 going on 13. His testimony is on the back table. Please help yourself. And he was in his own world in bilateral hearing aids. He couldn't even recognize his own name. We had moved every single year from school district to school district looking for a new school, for a better program, a better teacher, a better way of teaching him. When he was born in 1977, there was not much out there. There was no internet. There was no one helping us with what to do with our baby. He was our oldest, so we didn't even have anything to compare development to other children. And he was born at 2.5 pounds. So we just had a lot of things going on. And so what happened was, we loved him, we just didn't know what to do. And what happened is he just didn't develop. So at 12 going on 13, we found the neurodevelopmental approach. We pulled him home from school and quit moving every year to get to a better school district. And we started working with our son, specifically targeted ways to stimulate and activate his brain. Fast forward, he wound up being able to hold down a job without really much aid from a job coach. He had a job coach set him up, teach him what to do, and then he was on his own. He was a custodian in an elementary school. That elementary school had 3 wings. He had one entire wing that was his responsibility. The other 2 wings were each the responsibility of another man, and those men were grown men with children and families. So it was a real job. He was able to, we got him to about 3rd, 4th grade reading. We could have gotten him more, but we took several years off before we realized he hadn't reached his full potential and started working with him again. Actually, within 3 months of starting the program, he could sight word read 250 to 300 sight words. He joined our family, started following our conversations. We got him out of bilateral hearing aids, because the hearing aids, it wasn't the hearing loss, it was hypersensitivity of hearing, so the brain was shutting down his hearing. So those hearing aids were driving the poor kiddo crazy and batty. So we normalized his hearing through some sound therapy, and he could stay home alone. He could ride his bike anywhere in the community he wanted to. When his paycheck came in, he'd hop on his bike and head to the bank. He had a very, very, very good semi-independent life. He is dancing on streets of gold right now. He went to be with the Lord when he was 29, about 4 years ago. He had some thyroid and respiratory issues that we just couldn't resolve. But we feel like we gave him a really fabulous life that he may not have otherwise had.